Good morning, grade 5. Today we're going to be dealing with rounding again, and we are working towards ending our unit. So today we'll do just a final rounding sort of, figuring all these rounding things out sort of deal, and then we will start moving into just review for the rest of the unit, and then we'll move on to multiplication probably on Friday or Monday next week. So here we go. Our first thing to think about are number lines. Now, we haven't really dealt with number lines in a while, but this is something just to remember. So we can have I'm just going to make it a pretty simple number line here just for us to see. We're going to put 600 here, and you'll see this is similar to your sheet that I will send out today. So if you want, you can get your sheet out right now, and you can work with me on the first questions. I'm just going to kind of go through some of the questions on your sheet. And so I have this question here, and it's A. I'll just do A for now. 653 is approximately equal. Now, you'll notice that these equal signs are kind of squiggly. That means approximate, or like estimate, right? So it's not exact. A real equal sign has the flat equal things, and when it's wiggly, that's kind of saying like, it's kind of equal to this, So you see it wiggly, it's kind of like, when you maybe get your hand, you're like, kind of. So we look here, and we're rounding to the nearest 100 in this case. That's what it asks, the nearest 100. So we check this 100 zone, and then we just look over here. Remember, it's always the one to the right, the next number. We don't care about this 3 at this moment. And something else we'll know is that whatever will happen, we're rounding to the hundreds. So hundreds are like 100, 200, and so on. So we know that we'll get to the nearest 100. And so our options end up being either we go back to 600 or we go up to 700, right? Notice that everything after the 100 is going to be a 0. We've talked about this in class before, but just in case you need to be reminded that you will have one number on this line, like the hundreds, and then everything after that, smaller than that, will be a 0 because you're rounding, so you just are getting to the nearest 100 and the flat 100. So we look at this 5, and then we remember our rule. 5 and up go up. And then we know 4 and down go down. Excuse my terrible tablet writing there. Gotta get back into the game of using this little tablet there. But yeah, that's the rule. So we see 5 there. And so we know 5 and up goes up. So what we'll go to is 700. And so what we'll do is we'll put this one here. And the best way to do this is you can just say A sits right here. And then you can put the B and the C and the whatever, the D over here. That's not necessarily where they go. I just threw them around. So A sits there. So that's the first question. That's question 1. Now, if we go to question 2 here, this is just rounding to the nearest, and then it says underline the digit to be rounded up or down. So each column, as we see, there's a 10 column, 100, and 1,000 column there. So and you have A, B, C. So we'll do A for all of them. So A, you have 31. So we underline this one. So this is what you need to do, always underline it. Then you draw your arrow. I mean, you don't need to do this drawing the arrow, but it kind of helps at least. Then you kind of know, okay, I'm looking at this one. And remember our rule. 4 or down is going to round down, 5 and up rounds up. So we see this, and we're going to say this is going to round down because 1 is smaller than 4. And so we round down to a flat 30. See? So that's our answer. That is what it'll be when we round. So we say 31 approximately equals 30, right? And that's kind of how we answer that one. Now we'll go to A in the hundreds column. We have 921. 921, what does that approximately equal? So remember, now we're doing the hundreds. So we're no longer doing the tens. We're going to underline the hundreds this time. And then we look over at this 2. This is a 2, by the way. And we think, okay, 2 is smaller than 4. So again, we're going to round down. Remember, our options here are 900 or going up to 1,000, right? Because any more hundreds, if we go up to the next 100 up, it would be 10 hundreds. And when we have 10 hundreds, we just make 1,000. So this one, because the 2 is smaller than 4, we are going to, or 4 or less, it's going to go down, right? So we round it down, and then we say that this is just going to be 900. For our last one, for our thousands, I'm going to go and just do B. Now, A might seem tricky, but really you're going to round down to, well, I'll do A just for the sake of it, just because it is a kind of a tricky one, just because it might confuse you. See how there's nothing here? When you round down to the nearest thousand, you just kind of look at the next one over, and you say, is this up or down? Because you can kind of imagine almost that there's something here, even though there's nothing. There's basically a 0 here. There's no value for that, but you can look over and see what this one is. And because this one is a 1, we would round down. And so what we'll actually get is 0. It approximately equals 0. But let's look at B, because that's a bit more simple. So now we're looking at thousands. So we have 64,989, right? So we look over here. Sorry, we underline the thousands. Remember, this is the tens of thousands. This is the hundreds. We underline the thousands and then put an arrow looking at the hundreds column, right? The hundreds column is here. And we say, is 9 bigger than 5? Well, of course it is. So for 5 and up, remember 5 up goes up, 4 down goes down. And so we see 9, we're going to round up. So this one, we had an option of either 64 or 65,000, or right? So 1,000, and we are going to round up, right? So 65,000. So we can say this approximately equals 65,000, because to go to 65,000 is only really, if we look at it, it's only 11 to go up. But even if we had zeros here, it would only be 100, and to go down would be 900, right? So that's kind of what you're doing. You're trying to figure out which 1,000 is closer. That's all you're doing with rounding. Okay, we're going to skip the next one, skip 3, and we're going to move on to look at estimate the difference, right? So I'm actually going to do some slightly different numbers, not to take away your practice from you, but this is going to be the same thing. So estimate the sum first. We'll estimate the sum. And what we can actually do is I'm going to actually do, now that could confuse you, so I'm just going to make my own numbers up. So we'll do 1 first, we'll just call it A. We'll say 937 plus 870. How about let's do 63. Let's go like that. Okay. That seems like some fun there. So we can, the first option, right, we can always just add this, but because what we're trying to do is we're trying to say this approximately equals something similar. So what we're going to do here is we're going to decide what we're going to round to. We have a few options. So we could round to our hundreds, in which case we would round with the 8 and the 9, or we can round with the tens. I think in this case, because it's not a massive number, we could round to the tens in this case. If you choose to go with the hundreds in one, that's okay. Just make sure you do something that seems reasonable. Make sure you just at least are rounding. Rounding just helps you regardless. The more you round, the easier the math is. But yeah, so this will help us. So let's take a look here. So we would round this 3. We look here, and 7. We'd say this rounds up. So what we'll get is 900 or 9,000, or no, sorry, 940 instead. So the nearest tens. And this one, 63, we're going to round down. So this will be and 60, right? Because 63 could either become, we could either go 70 ways or, 60. Because it's 3, we round down and we go to the 60. So here we go. I'm just going to erase that because we'll probably do the proper math in a moment. So here we go. So 0, 0, we just get 0 there. This plus this makes 10. And so we bring the 1 here. So this will be 10. It'll be 18. So 1,800 is our answer there. So that's perfectly good. That's our answer. And we can check to see that this is about right. So we see 7 plus 3 is 0. We bring the 1 over here. This will give us a 0 as well. It'll give us a 1 here. And we'll actually get the same answer, funny enough, right? And the reason why this worked is because we actually took the 3 here and we added it to that. So it kind of worked out perfectly. I made it too good to be true. So this could happen sometimes. It probably won't happen on the test. But let's do one more just to get our ideas here. And let's do a subtraction. So differences mean subtraction. So if we have, we could also do this. Wait, just one second. Instead, we could check the hundreds. If we round to the hundreds, what would we get? We would go, this one we would go down to 900. And this one we would go up to 900 as well, right? We would go up. And funny enough, in this case, as I made this one just amazing, all 3 options give us the same answer. So as it works out, that is pretty great. So that's how we can make it simpler for ourselves. I guess if you want, you can glean some other ideas out of that. So then now let's look at difference. And then I want to move on. Difference, I'm not going to spend as much time here. Let's just do 836 minus 20. No, let's do 49. Okay, so in this case, we can only really round to the tens. Okay, so we'll round to the tens. We'll look over here. This one's going to round up because it's a 6, so it's higher. This one's going to round down, sorry, that's not right. This one's going to round up as well. And so what we'll get approximately is 840, right? Because this one rounded up to the nearest 10. This one also rounded up to the nearest 10, so we'll get just 50 in total, right? Because that's only 1 away. We're subtracting this, so we go 0, 0. This will just make a nice 0. Here, we will borrow because we can't do this one. So we will go to 7. We'll bring 1 over, and we will now go 14. This will give us 9, and then we'll have 790. And that is our answer there. And you could do the proper math to check it out, and you should in your own book there today. Okay, our next thing. So we haven't actually done this that much. We did it a little bit at the beginning of the year, so I will just go over it quickly. So it's this one, you can, if you don't get it, you can skip, okay? You can skip this if you've watched the video. If not, let's just follow here if you try and do this. So I'll do A with you and B. I guess they're not really like that. So we have 690 times 10. Now, whenever you times something by 10, you normally, the simple trick here is that really all you do is add a 0 to the end. So what this equals is this is going to equal 6,900. So that's all you do. And if I were to times this by 100, I would just add an extra 0, right? So all this does really is it, whenever you times by 10, all you're doing is adding an extra 0, right? 1 times 10, this 1 will turn into 10. 10 times 10 makes it 100. And you just see the extra 0 just keeps going on. And you can go on and on and on. And if you times it by 100, if you times 1 by 100, you'll get 100. If you times it like 2 by 100, you'll get 200, right? So you're just adding the zeros to the back of your number. So that's fairly easy. Now division is basically the same thing. But so if you have 690 divided by 10, the big difference is instead of adding a 0, you're taking away the number of zeros. So you see 1 0 there, you take it away. And so this would equal 69. If we had 6,900 and we divided it by 10, what we would get is 690. So that's all you do. With division, you're chopping zeros off by the amount of zeros you have here. So if you have 1 0 here, you chop off 1 0. And if you have 2 zeros, you would chop off 2 zeros and you get 69, right? So that is the basic concept there. You can rewatch that if you need to get that under control. Now, the second side there is actually a little bit more complicated, but it's not that much more complicated. So if you have 24 and you times it by 20, now this looks like it's actually really hard, but it's not. What it really is you can take a moment and just box this 0 off and not think about it. And you go 24 times 2, right? And 24 times 2 is equal to 48. And all we do with this 0 is you plop it on at the back, just like the tens. All we're doing now is instead of timesing by 10, we're timesing it by 20. So it's doubling the amount that the times 10 would go up to. So yeah, if we had 43 times 20, we would just go like so. And so these numbers are also actually very easy. And this can show you again why rounding is so helpful. Because if you can get to a round number, multiplying is a lot easier. So let's take a look here. 43 times 20 is just the same as 43 times 2, which will be it'll be 86. And then you just bring the 0 and you plop it there. And you can also do this with 200. You just add the 2 zeros in there. And so you can actually do pretty big math if you can round, and you can make your life a lot simpler. So that's how you times by 20. Now, if we were to times by 30, say we have this question here, I'll just say 123, and we times it by 30. Again, it's the same idea. Just put this little 0 in a box for a second and times it by 3. So 1 times 3 is going to give you 3. 2 times 3, well, so I guess you should do it the other way around. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 3 is 6. And then you'll get 3, right? And then all you do, you bring the 0 to the end and you throw it on at the back. And that is how you can do it. So if you're struggling with this, don't get too worried. On the next side of the page, I think you can largely do this. This is stuff we've already done. And all it wants you to do is to draw a number line. So I'll just do A for you. I'll just open up a new page. So 947. This is to the nearest 10,000. So I'm just going to say 10,000. That's in our box. That's what we're rounding to. So again, yeah, this one they've also is kind of I don't really like the way this is framed, but it's fine. So we have the nearest 10,000. You look here. This is where the 10,000s should be. So what you do is you look here and you say, this 9 is going to go up, right? And so what we would get approximately that is, oh, that's actually funny. You know, it's 10,000, so it's not even there. Basically, this one is really silly. So 10,000, you have the 10 column isn't even here, it's over here. And so you look into here and there's nothing. And so this would round down. And so your options here basically for this number are 0 or 10,000 as the nearest one. And you are basically here on the number line, right? You're sitting like maybe right here because it's not even 1,000. So you're 947 and you just round down to the 0. Because there's a 0, so 0 obviously always rounds down. So if you have nothing in both of the columns there, that is pretty far off. Honestly, with A, I don't like it. Let's do this one. I'll do this one with you too. 620. Yeah, that's good. 6,243. So we're rounding to the nearest 100 in this case. So you look at the hundreds, you look over, And in this one, again, the line here, what they're trying to get you to do is to put your two options here. So you you have the option of either going to 6,200 or 6,300. Those are the closest hundreds, and you're trying to figure out where on this line your number lies, and you can just figure out that it's probably kind of like here, right? Because it's 43, kind of close to the middle. So 6, 2, 4, 3, and then you're just looking over there. Because it's 4, you're going to round down to 200, right? So 4 rounds down, and you can do this. So I trust that you'll be able to work on those problems tomorrow, and that this will be good for you. I'll also send some additional problems for us to work on as well with this, just to test us, and yeah, should be all good. Okay, hope you enjoyed the video. Bye-bye then.